Hello everybody, I'm back and I want to thank you for joining me today, and I want to thank the platform for giving me a chance to be here, and please like and subscribe. I would also like to thank my listeners that want to send me something, and I'd rather that you bloom where you are planted, and if you have an abundance to share, do it within your realm of influence. Hello, Princess Henry. I'd like to ask you, can we be honest about respect? Megan, treating others with respect does give you a slightly elevated demeanor. And what I mean by that, as I had mentioned in my previous chat with you, is that it looks well on you on how you treat others. And I, like so many of us, have met plenty of people that we might not respect what they've said or done, but to treat them with a common courtesy, which maybe sometimes is interchangeable with the word respect. But we don't have to like or really in our heart respect everyone we meet. But how we treat that person, whether they deserve it or not, elevates ourselves, and it does enhance our demeanor. And that doesn't mean that, these people are going to be so grateful to you. If they're really what I like to call piss ants, I don't know if that's a swear word now, and I apologize if it is, but some people are just they're not appreciative of how other people tolerate them. And that doesn't mean that you have to tolerate them. But if you are forced into an interaction with that person, you can still hold your head higher than when you let them drag you down to what may be their level, scrapping, rolling in the gutter, duking it out. You don't have to be that kind of person. And if they invoke such negative reactions from you, it bodes better for you not to have to resort to what you may have seen others get away with, and that could be expressing your feelings in a physically inappropriate manner, and that could be a range of foot stomping, slamming, throwing things, breaking things, and oh my goodness, actually making physical contact with someone that you're aggravated with. And that could fall under anger management perhaps, and maybe we should save that for another time. But right now I want to focus on how treating other people with respect elevates you. Treating other people with respect cannot just be a one and done. You've got to do it repeatedly, even if it feels artificial. You've got to stay with it, and you might be surprised to find that it becomes a part of you, a natural part of you. And of course, that doesn't reveal anything at all about the object of this treatment that you are giving them, but it reveals tremendously about yourself. And that is what you are communicating visually and orally to people that you might need to connect with and engage to help you achieve your goals. And I don't mean to make this sound like it is a will and deal reciprocal way of using and manipulating people, but it's how we all fit together in this jigsaw puzzle of life, this little give and take, and what helps elevate all of us by certain behavior or what drags us down. And I'd like to see you be on the uplifting team and not letting anything or anybody drag you down across that line like it's a tug of war, like there's this line in the middle, and what team do you want to be on, helping to pull that tug of war rope higher to a better level or down into the mud, really is what it is. These kinds of actions over a long term will help identify you as a respectable person. It's one of the things, not the only things. There are many things that contribute to that. But in my opinion, that is the difference between a person that is considered respectable and a person that is considered disrespectable. I don't really want to tell very many of my own stories because I want to focus on you. But I remember a time when the rapper Eminem was having a public spat with Elizabeth Dole, I believe. And I don't know who started it. It could have been a tit for tat. I don't know. But how one responded, once that ball got rolling, at any time there was a choice to be made. And I think that it's clear that Eminem kind of just, shoot from the hip and just called it the way he saw it. But hindsight, it looked disrespectful. And yes, I'm old school where you treat ladies, women, public figures that are doing public service like Elizabeth Dole has a lifetime of doing. And I'm not talking about her politics, okay? I'm just saying that someone who has spent their life making a choice, and in her own opinion, her choice was for the public good. However, she thought she could best serve the public in a manner that was consistent with her beliefs. So Eminem and her were in this public spat, and it was really getting kind of nasty, and I think eventually she just chose to ignore him. And I would like to point out that there is really a big difference, and I hope Eminem has learned this by now. I think he had some album called Anger Management Tour or something like that. Maybe someone did give him a heads up. But one thing is certain, is that over the long term, you will find that there is a huge difference between admiration and observation. And different people have their values, and you will find some that will only admire or observe some people that are, and other people have the opposite view. They do not admire someone, but they're willing to observe them. And I don't know what your goals are, Megan, but what would you really prefer to have after, let's say, you've got a body of work and knowledge and experience, and you're looking back, you're being introspective. Do you want to know in your heart that people genuinely admire you? Or are you simply just being observed? And to be honest, how you're making your money, is it because you are admired and because just things just bloom wherever you go? You have this special way about you that people gravitate towards you because they know you are doing good. And we know people like that without naming them. We know good people that are out there that do good, and people just gravitate towards that. It's like a higher light, and it's uplifting. Or are people just simply admiring you, and they're even willing to pay the entry fee to watch you? And I don't know what they're hoping for, to see you crash and burn. I don't know. Hoping that just maybe something really great will happen for you. I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm on Team Megan, but I want to see Princess Henry do the best she can. And I can just hear it now. That is just not fair. And you are right. The world is not fair to any of us. It is so lopsided. You've got just very few people that seem to win the lottery in life, and so many others. And I would say 95% of the world is struggling just to have a foothold in their piece of life. And I am reminded, another story. And if you will just tolerate me sharing one story of this young woman that I met, that she was originally, I believe, from South Africa. And you could just, when she told me this story, you could just see that sadness. Even though she was in a good place at the time that I met her, she you could still see the pain in her eyes as she recalled this story. And I am not going to use her name, of course. Let's just call her, Betty. Okay, let's call her Betty. And Betty told me this story that when she was 14, and maybe she was headstrong, maybe there had been, a lot of stuff going on in her life, and maybe this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know, leading up to this event. But she told her parents that she was a lesbian. And her parents could not abide with that in their home. It wasn't like they drew a line and say, I don't accept this, but I love you, and you have your place here in our home and in our hearts. But as you go through life and you're making your choices, one of the first thing that you have to realize is not everyone's going to jump on that bandwagon with you, but you still have our love. And that really is what, if anything helps someone to grow and mature, is to understand that having love of the people in your family means a whole lot more than just giving you that rubber stamp to everything you say and do. But her parents were not capable of that at that time. And I'm not going to justify what they did, but they kicked that 14-year-old out of their home. 14 years old. She had nowhere to go, and she lived briefly on the street until she could get a foothold somewhere. And that just breaks my heart. I know what it's like to have that kind of rejection, not at quite such a young age, but I tell you, it hurts the rest of your life. It hurts, and I know I've been there, and I could feel it, that cringe inside. And she managed to somehow come to the United States, and I believe it's because she had a sister in the United States, and her sister took her in and gave her a place to grow and find herself, and she blossomed, and life's journey brought her to where I was at. And I was I hate to say, I was her instructor at a school where I was working at the time, and she was sharing her story with me, and I didn't ask for it, but I was so flattered that she felt comfortable sharing that with me. And it's not like she had this secret lifestyle that she was revealing. I want you to know that she was not hiding her identity or anything. In fact, by the time I met her, she was tattooed. I'm not big on tattoos, but I have people in my family that I love, and they're tattooed. So no condemnation on that. But she had metal studs and piercings, in nose, lip, I guess maybe her tongue. I couldn't tell. I didn't ask to see that. Her ears. And some of the men instructors were afraid of her. She did look tough, and she kept a very short haircut, and she could have been intimidating if you could not see past how she looked. But just to see this sweet little girl in her eyes, and you just wanted to give her this hug and say, I care about you. And so when she told me about this, and she said, people treat me different. And I did not laugh. I want you to know, because she was really seeming to be sincere that she did not know why people treated her differently. And I could see that being in Texas, where she might have encountered a certain conservative element, and there were plenty of men walking around with tattoos, maybe not that many people with the metal all over the face and head. And she was one of the few women that did keep her hair cut that short. But I said to her, well, Betty, first of all, I told her, the world is not a fair place. And just recalling her story, how she was kicked out just for something that she said about herself. And I said, the world will never be a fair place. And you have to choose what is the most important to you. Betty, you have to choose between what you really, really want, how you want to dress, and whether you wear makeup or how your tattoos or the metal studs all over your face, and how your hair is, or do you want to really fit into that big mainstream, and as I had mentioned in another episode, that bell curve. You want to be in that big lump part of the bell curve. You have to choose what is most important to you, fitting in or being yourself, because you know there's going to be a price that you are going to have to pay. The world will extract it from you, and that's not fair. Back to previous comment, the world is not fair, but it is reality, and it has always been reality, and it will always, always be reality. You cannot change the basic human nature, and so you will pay that price for being yourself or fitting in. And she answered, she said, I would rather be myself. And I said, well, then you will pay that price. And there's nothing, no power on earth will exempt you from it. And none of us are exempt from paying the price for our choices. So, Megan, I hope that you will work on how you represent yourself in the terms of respecting others, and maybe that includes a little anger management, but work on it every day. And hindsight, try to be objective how the world will see you, and not just the people that just love you so much that you can do no wrong, but how the world basically sees you. Do the anger management and bloom where you are planted. Well, Megan, that about sums it up for today, and I hope that you heard it in the spirit that it was given. And for all my other listeners, thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope that you are able to bloom where you are planted, and that God will bless all of you. Until next time, take care. Bye now.